Hey there, everybody. Artist Caleb here. How you doing? Well, I just wanted to tell you about our almost 5,000 mile long journey out to the East Coast to see my sister and her family, and then back to Colorado, and then eventually home. And just look at all the stuff I got for Christmas. No, I'm just joking. No, it was the strangest thing. I think we were going across Texas somewhere, and we went to a gas station, right, just to, put some petrol in the car. And I walked inside the station, and you go inside and kind of around the corner, and I kid you not, there's this whole giant museum in there. It's the weirdest thing. The curator of this place was standing in there, and I thought that he was like a statue or something, so I walked up and I was looking at him. And he was just looking back at me and kind of blinking, and then I realized, oh, it's a real-life person, so it's pretty awkward. I love driving, and I love traveling. And trust me, I cut out a lot of footage, otherwise it would have been 2 solid days of it. When you drive for, well, 2 days solid, all you see is the road and trees and stuff, and sometimes a bridge like this one. But nothing much other than that really happens, so whenever something does happen, it's like the circus just moved to town. And sure enough, on the way there was this person on the road who must have been piping moonshine in intravenously or something, because they were driving like they were on a Mario Kart track and somebody ahead of them was dropping banana peels. It was pretty amazing. So we finally got out to my sister and brother-in-law's neck of the woods, and wow, it's beautiful. And check it out, they've got cows. They're like pygmy cows or something. My sister, who's very talented, got my wife on a horse, and I was a little bit nervous for my wife because I once fell off a horse and busted my tailbone, but that didn't happen to her, so everything was all right. While we were there, they took us down to Charleston. I didn't know how historic the place is. I was really surprised, actually. And they took us to the sea. We got to go to the sea. Oh, I miss the sea like an old friend. After a good night's sleep at a place next to the sea, we drove on into Charleston. Charleston was founded apparently in 1670, and it was named after King Charles II. People used to say, "How you doing there, Charlie? How's it going, Charlie?" And he'd have you executed. Probably, I don't know, I'm just guessing, but that's usually what people like that do, So we went to a carriage company and got to take a tour on a carriage. It was amazing. I'd say it's one of the best ways to get around ever. I mean, unless you gotta go across country or something like that, in which case you'll want a car or a jet, because I think taking a carriage would be really awful at that point. But getting around a city, it's it's great actually. There's just something about it that's wonderful. Our tour guide, we'll call him Ferguson, because that's what Mark Twain and his friends used to call their tour guides when they were traveling across the world. Because they couldn't pronounce the tour guide's name, so they just called him Ferguson. So anyway, our Ferguson was pretty odd. He was a pretty strange guy. He had clearly had one too many espressos. But we all had fun. We all had a lot of fun, and we learned a lot of neat stuff. If you live in, say, Europe, then you can't chuck a rock without hitting something the Romans built. But for US standards, Charleston's pretty old and has a lot of history. It's where the Civil War began, when the first shots were fired at Fort Sumter. Towards the end of the Civil War, the city got pulverized by cannons. But fortunately, a lot of stuff was left standing, and thank heavens too, because there's no denying there's a lot of beautiful stuff down there, a lot of beautiful places. It was a pretty amazing treat to get to ride a carriage like that and walk all around seeing the sights. We hardly ever got lost or mugged at gunpoint. You'd probably need about a good month to see everything in Charleston. There were some Christmas carolers reenacting ye olden days, singing the classics like, "This is probably exactly how it was back then, but they are all dead now." We also got to have some real honest-to-goodness Southern cuisine. And whoa, it's some good stuff, let me tell you. Man alive. They eat shrimp and grits. Let's see what else. There's jambalaya and, oh yeah, she crab soup, it's called. I kid you not, that's the name of it. It's delicious. And then we ended the day up looking at all these beautiful Christmas lights. It was amazing. Well, after our time was done there, it was time to head to Colorado. And our phone, it stopped working. We could make phone calls and we could do texts, but we couldn't use Google Maps and we couldn't access the internet, and I have no idea why. Well, yes I do, because it's the story of my life, but we had to stop and get a road atlas. And honestly, I think I'm just gonna duct tape a road atlas to my cell phone for the next time we go on a long distance trip. Although, come to think of it, that would probably be pretty stupid, because then you'd have a road atlas on your phone and you could just put it in the glove compartment. Anyway, when we got to Colorado, we went everywhere. Back and forth from Colorado Springs several times, up to Cripple Creek. We went hiking up in the mountains. We just soaked in as much as we could because we miss it so much. And I know Colorado Springs like the back of my hand because, well, I'm from there. Just outside of Canyon City, there's a place that not too many people really know about. It's called Tunnel Drive. It's a path going through the mountain, blasted through solid granite. Long time ago, back in the way long time ago times, I don't know when, 1800s most likely. When I was a kid, I used to have to climb over a fence to get to this old trail. We also took the back road, as we call it. It's actually called Shelf Road, all the way up to Cripple Creek, Colorado. And you just have to kind of see it to believe it. It's a fairly dangerous road. Pretty scary, but pretty cool. And there's some old abandoned mine shafts up there, for instance. This is part of where the gold rush happened. The elevation here is 9,500 feet above sea level, so pretty high. When I was a kid, Cripple Creek mostly just had some souvenir shops, dusty old antiques and bookstores, and I remember that there was this one antique bookstore that we used to go into. In the back of the shop, there was a gap in the wall, no wider than about a half a foot, and you could see that beyond it there was an old stone room. Fairly decent-sized stone room, and through the ages, people had been chucking old books back there. So there was literally a mountain of old books in there. It was so strange. Just a random memory from when I was a kid. But, alas, it's time to head home. And we never really liked doing that because we love Colorado and we miss it, and someday we want to live there. But we had a grand adventure, We had a wonderful time with everybody that we love, and I missed you all, and I hope that everybody had a wonderful Christmas and that this year proves to be the best one ever. Big giant hugs, and thanks for being patient with me through all the game development, and I will see you in the videos to come. Alright, bye-bye.